Hi everyone, this is Koinzell here. So today I want to talk about a summary of Ayato, just quickly listing down the pros and cons, because we have already covered a lot of analysis for him in my math guides. So I'm not going to repeat some of those. I'm just quickly going to talk about some of the pros and cons. Some of the more important ones I'll repeat, like his general play style, stuff like that. So first off, I gotta say, we'll start with pros. And the very first thing is obviously his S tier during E. Only during his E. Because if you factor in his entire rotation damage, etc., it's more like A tier. Okay, so A tier overall. Let me see if we can make the text smaller. Actually, you know what? I think this is better. Alright, now second pro. And it's a pro that he's very flexible. It's flexible in comps. In terms of team comps, it's very flexible. Right? Because he allows, put this here. In terms of team comp, he allows you to use him OverVape, HyperCarry, freeze comps. And there's a few other comps that I have not mentioned, like Sunfire, etc. Not that I'm a fan of Sunfire, but basically, any comp that needs a Hydro, start DPS or main DPS, that he can fit in. He can fit into that comp. As simple as that. He's also flexible with his 5-star weapon options. If you happen to have PJC or Mistsplitter, those are only up to 4 to 5% difference against his Haran, his signature weapon. So he's also pretty friendly in that aspect, F2P friendly in that aspect, assuming you did get those weapons for some reason. Okay. Now, third thing, quadratic scaling. I gotta mention this, right? Quadratic scaling on his Q. So that really helps in freeze comp, especially in freeze comp, because you're pulling them together so much, and also in a scenario we have at least 5 enemies. Now, the fourth point is that his main DPS comes from his E. What this means is that in certain scenarios where for some reason you did not get your energy fully back, or you want to conserve your energy, like in terms of like when you're clearing the chamber, clearing a Spiral Abyss, you want to leave energy for the next chamber, for yourself to have full energy on the next chamber, and the enemies still have a little HP left, which is exactly what I'm doing here. You can just spend his Ayato E without doing the full rotation, and he's still able to dish out this amount of damage to clear. This is also very helpful in the overworld, as I found this very helpful when I was exploring Charism as well. Okay, now let's talk about cons. Those are the 4 main pros I can think of, or rather the 4 main pros I want to talk about. Now, cons. I have to say this. Extremely weak resistance to interruption. Okay? That's taking up too much space. Bad resistance to interruption. It's really bad, okay? A pyro, if you saw the video just now, a pyro slime death explosion can break his E stance. And every time you get broken or your E stance breaks, you lose at least 2 to 3 strikes, mostly 3 strikes. And that's a lot of your DPS gone. Right? It's a lot of your DPS gone. So this is one thing that I really dislike about his E, the bad resistance to interruption, because you don't see this happening for someone like, say, Raiden or Ito. Both of them have resistance to interruption in either from their E or from their Q, in their stance mode per se, like the Raiden's Q stance and Ito's Q stance. But for Ayato, I don't know whether it's because it's an E, but the resistance is really bad. It's so bad that it really affects his DPS. This is why I say he's tier A. Because don't give me the excuse that you can dodge. Okay, dodging is also 2 to 3 strikes of loss of DPS. It's as simple as that. You want to be able to stand in those 6 seconds that he is attacking. And the worst thing is that there is something about his E-strikes that will require dodging. E-strikes AoE, not big. It's basically white, but not. Wait, it's too long. Yeah. It's basically white, but not far. I'm serious, it's not far at all. It's not far enough. Let me put it that way. Okay? You will see this on his strikes. Especially when you have enemies that are not grouped together. For example, if the Ventis pull, cannot pull them in, you will see that it can't be. He's not able to hit. He might be able to hit if you are in a position where you can take advantage of the white strike, but his strike is not far. It's not like Raiden, okay? Raiden's strikes are really far, especially her charge attack in her Q stance mode. It's ridiculously far, plus white. That's why I call a huge AoE. His E strikes, not far, which means that you will have to dodge to catch up in distance, especially in Spiral Abyss, where there are a lot of different mobs. They are spread far apart. And that being said, right, although I put this as a con, I'll acknowledge that it is still bigger than Child. Okay, the AoE on his E is still bigger than Child. So that's that. Now the next point ties into the first and the point coin number 1 and coin number 2 as well. You need to be stationary. If you think he's as good as Ayaka, it's not, because Ayaka just unleashes her burst and you can do other stuff. For his E, you need to stay there for 6 seconds. Of course, that's something that applies to all characters' normal attacks, right? But for him, I find it especially bad when it's coupled with the fact that he has a bad resistance to interruption, plus his E strikes are not that far. Decent white AoE, very nice white AoE in fact, but E strikes are not far. That's his main problem. Now, the last con. What I want to talk about here is this. You see the burst animation? Do you just see the burst animation? His Q animation belongs to one of the longer ones. It's about 2.2 seconds. Okay, Q animation is too long. 2.2 seconds. Raiden is faster, even though Raiden is pulling out a sword out of her. the Buba sword thingy, right? It's still faster. You saw it, right? Slightly faster. Someone like Ayaka also takes quite a long time. But the thing about Ayaka is that at least it's satisfying, right? For that burst animation, that long burst animation, you deal a lot of damage. You see a fantastic burst dealing a lot of damage in a short, very, very short instant, 5 seconds. But for Ayato's Q, you don't get that, because what his Q does is apply an AoE, which you will see nice damage if you have quadratic skilling, but it's definitely not like Ayaka, where you get to see that satisfying damage, and also not like Raiden. Raiden Q, immediately the first one shot gives you a huge boost in damage. You see a huge figure, and on top of that, you have more damage coming in from her M4C combos and M1C. But what does Ayato's animation have? Him pulling a sword and staring at you, turning his eye to stare at you. Oh, and something like a small little water petal turning. That's it. They should have at least made his Q animation longer so that at least it's more enjoyable. Let me look at Ayaka's. She's turning her sword into a cryo energy, and there are cryo petals bursting around her at the same time, and she unleashes her burst. Ayato, yes, Ayato's sword does have a bit of water effect, as you can see here, but that's it. Okay, this may be subjective, right? Maybe some other people feel that his Q animation is cool, is good. That's fine, but it doesn't change the fact that it takes very, very long. Okay, it takes way too long, which is one of the biggest problem I have for his rotation, rotation and freeze comp, where everything is so tight. And yet he takes 2.2 seconds. I have to look at him slowly drawing his sword, and then him looking at the screen or me. Then finally his Q is done. So yeah, this is definitely a call in my book. So anyway, thanks everyone for watching. These are the pros and cons I can think of for Ayato. And the thing about Ayato is, the biggest problem I think about Ayato is the fact that the next new 5-star is also a Hydro character. It's a Hydro Bow character, Yelan. And her kit looks really interesting. I have not done the math, I can't say whether she does more damage than Ayato. But her kit is so interesting and she's definitely harder to play. Ayato does have an advantage where he's easy to play in this aspect. But I would rather have the harder to play but more interesting kit to work with. And let me just say that C6 Yelan kit looks super damn broken right now, based on what we know anyway. Of course, obviously it's still subject to change, it's still very early in the beta. But her C6 looks much better than, say, Ayato C6 that has such a low value. So when I do the Yelan math guide, which will start after this video, the Yelan math series will start, I'll put in the comparison against Ayato so that you guys will know whether or not it's better to go for a C0 Yelan or a C0 Ayato. Right now, all the YouTube videos are gonna show him as like super broken and S tier. But like I said, that's during his E. His A tier he's really A tier overall to me. Or maybe my standards are too high, but I've done the math. I've done the comparison on the Constellation value, etc. So yeah, I think he's A tier overall. Maybe slightly higher on the A tier range, but yeah. Alright, thanks everyone for watching. I hope this has been helpful to you guys. This is a way for me to close out the Ayato math series per se, to put a satisfactory conclusion to it after all the math guides that we've done and after we have finally gotten to play him. Alright, oh, and damage I already covered during the rotation video. It's like just like my math. Okay, it matches my math. So I may do one more Ayato math video in future if we do manage to get decent or good enough 4 Echoes offering set. Just a simple artifact comparison, but really depends on whether we are able to get those good stats. Okay, thanks everyone for watching. If you like the video, remember to like the content and click subscribe for more. Sorry, if you like the content, if you remember to like the video and click subscribe for more. Bye.